Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast, where every month we deep dive into different aspects of cinema, directors, genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month we are doing New-vember. Each episode is catered by our guests, and the movie today is...
Well, wait. We have a guest, so I think our guest should introduce himself, because we haven't seen him since last year?
When was he?
Was it Justice? Was Justice League last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
That was
No,
you were on New-vember.
No, that was this year.
That was this year.
It was Epics.
Yes, April. It's been a minute. So who are you again?
I am Brandon. Hello, guys.
It's
Hello.
Brandon. Hello.
Howdy.
And what movie are we talking about today?
Oh, man. A 1980s classic, Tightrope.
Tightrope, directed by Richard Tuggle?
Technically. Because Clint took over after, he's like, yeah, buddy, nice script. You're too slow. Let Papa take care of it.
Get off my set.
Yes, this is a Clint Eastwood joint.
Yes, but I kicked him off. Actually, by all accounts, he did. Ironically, Richard did an interview 2 weeks ago for /film.com.
Really?
And he talked about this film.
Oh, because it's the anniversary year.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it's 84.
40
and
years.
So basically, in the title of it's Clint Eastwood's best film that isn't Dirty Harry from the 80s.
Okay,
I'm reason why that this movie couldn't be filmed in San Francisco because of Dirty Harry.
Yeah. Because the fourth one was so schlocky.
I'm not saying the best Eastwood film that's not Dirty Harry, and I'm like, I mean, there's Unforgiven. There's
in the 80s.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay, the 80s is kind of a dry spell, but
the 80s you have, you do have
is that High Plains Drifter and
Pale Rider?
Pale Rider?
Yeah, you have those in there, but they're not
Pale
really...
Rider was really good.
Pale Rider was
But
good.
they're not, mega hits or...
Yeah, you don't get the big blockbuster hits. But I digress.
It's a down period, quote unquote, a down period.
That's okay. This episode's is we're gonna talk about Tightrope or whatever, but the big overarching thing is Clint Eastwood, right?
Yes.
Because what is it? His new movie's coming out soon. Juror number 2. It's gonna be his last movie.
Supposedly,
the man's gonna direct till 100. But this is also a thing because I had never seen Tightrope before.
Same.
Premise of the podcast.
Yeah, it's premise of the month.
But watching it, I'm like, oh, this is the bread and butter Clint Eastwood movies because everyone remembers him for the westerns or whatever.
Yeah.
These are the movies he made for most of his career.
Yeah. In between those, western, those periods, you got the 70s, then the 80s is what he did. And then towards the end of the 80s, he kind of got back on the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
Then
the 90s,
Unforgiven.
He hangs up the boots and he's doing what is it, Gran Turismo in the 2000s and all that stuff. But I'm curious, Brandon. You brought us Tightrope.
Yes.
Why Tightrope of all the films?
When's the last time you ever seen Clint in such a sleazy fucking movie? When have you ever seen oiled up Clint Eastwood cheeks in a movie?
There was so much oil.
When have you ever seen him play a character where it's hinted at that he might have had post-divorce have had a gay experience in his sorrows?
That is,
as you do.
I didn't think I would see Clint Eastwood plow so many prostitutes in a single film. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little surprising.
Yeah.
But everyone, I'm just saying, this might be the only Clint Eastwood movie where you get to see his ass.
Yeah.
Covered in baby oil.
So much.
So much ass?
No, so much oil.
So much oil.
There was a lot of ass, too.
A lot of ass.
Yeah.
And, tons of prostitute ass.
Yeah.
Lots of not lollipops.
Popsicles?
Popsicles, yeah.
People are listening to this and
I
what
don't
fucking
like
porno are we watching?
I don't like bowling.
I don't like bowling either. Yeah,
I want to lick the sweat off of you.
This fucking guy. So, people are probably listening what fucking porno are we watching? So, I guess the log line is Tightrope is a proto-erotic thriller. It's about a detective investigating a serial killer who's going after prostitutes, and it's him trying to balance that with a kind of broken home life and also trying to find a new woman in his life.
It's a serial killer that ends up targeting him
Yeah.
because they have a loose connection because he was the serial killer's a former cop.
Yeah.
That was put away because of Detective Block. Clint, a.k.a. Clint Eastwood's character.
Yeah.
West Block.
Strong name. Strong name. But the movie is a kind of American giallo film in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, it's a suspense thriller.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
With a setting of a neo-noir, but at the same time you have this police procedural in between all of the suspense scenes.
And you also have like him trying to do like a family drama going on with him trying to raise his daughters.
Exactly. With this small hints of the ex-wife just took off.
Yeah.
And now she's getting married.
Yeah.
As they do.
As you do. But that's something about the movie. Okay, like opening up about it, I liked it. I thought, I like Clint Eastwood. I think, the guy's in good movies, and this was like really engaging. I like the mystery, I like the aesthetic, whatever. But my God, the pacing of the film is kind of sluggish. And I wonder if that's because there's like 3 movies in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I enjoyed it too.
Am I right on this? Is it a lot in 2 hours? Because it is almost 3 to 4 differing storylines going on.
Well, I mean, it's also under 2 hours.
It is under 2. It's a hair under 2.
It's a hour and 52.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's weird. The movie is 4 different movies, but they weave it all in. Like you go from the family drama. That's like the D plot, right?
Yeah. Would you call the family drama the D plot or the? Okay, because the A plot's this like
the
police procedure.
Yeah.
The police procedural. The
B would be Clint's.
Is he or isn't he the serial killer?
Yeah, and it's really that, and then the C would be his little romantic fling, and then under this you have the daughters there, like to remind you, he's still he's sleazy,
but he's got a good side.
He's a sleazeball because his wife left him. And when you're a single dad, like you don't have time to date. It's quicker, when the kids are with the babysitter.
Yeah, I like how you're like, I mean, you don't have time to date, and it's like, bro, he is plowing witnesses in a murder. All right,
listen, he's on the clock.
He's multitasking.
But it's like the way I see it is like each stories are each layer of Clint. His inner struggles with the prostitutes kind of resemble that. Like he's struggling to be open. That's why when he gets with what is the actress's character's name?
Oh, you mean Beryl?
Yes.
Which by the odd naming choice, because I think it is like Burl or something.
Beryl.
Beryl. Yeah.
Weird naming choice, by the way. Just name her Sarah, whatever. But Beryl.
Yeah.
But then she would have been Beryl Block.
Beryl Block.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
the alliteration. See?
So, where do we want to start with Tightrope?
Start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, we begin with a fucking nice, suspenseful opener.
Yeah.
Because, what is it? We open, we're floating over New Orleans.
Yeah.
We got some nice jazz music. It's a birthday party, woman walking home alone at night. There's like no dialogue for the first 5 minutes of this.
Just about,
And she's afraid.
Beyond the background.
The background of the footsteps and everything.
The birthday party, because it opens up with her blowing candles.
And she's walking home. She hears some footsteps or whatever. She's freaking out, and then suddenly a man appears. A cop. And she's like, "Oh, it's just you okay? I'm gonna go into my apartment. Can you watch? Make sure no one follows me." And I don't even think he says anything.
He says, "Sure," something like, "Yeah, sure."
And then we realize because he's not wearing right shoes, he's wearing sneakers.
It pans down as she walks by because she picks up something, so it pans down and you see the shoes, and then it pans back to her going inside.
Yeah, which I like the filmmaking there. That's just like really good direction. And I wonder if that was Tuggle or Eastwood. Because I think you mentioned at the start that Tuggle was the writer of this.
Yeah.
He also wrote Escape from Alcatraz beforehand. And he had a very slow-paced directing, because this is his first directed film.
First and only.
First and only film.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did hear that Eastwood took the reins at some point.
It was super early on.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was like pretty much like it was Clint's film, but because of the Directors Guild rules, he doesn't get credit.
Interesting.
So even Togo admits like it was early on, but it wasn't like I'm taking the reins. It's like here, like we got to get this done.
Okay.
Let me handle it. But their relationship was pretty good to the point where Clint didn't change anything.
Really?
Nothing was changed. Whatever was in the script was what he said. Whatever was. So all these scenes were written, and it wasn't like they did the sleazeball scenes first, and Clint's like, "Oh, okay, whatever you say."
Sure.
No, he was like, "All right, yeah." So this is through and through a Clint Eastwood movie. Like
that's interesting because we watched
and this is the cinematographer shot pretty much everything for Clint up until I think the 90s.
Okay.
So he's the one that shot High Plains Drifter, Pale Rider. So everything Clint directed or was Malpaso, this is the same.
Okay, that's interesting because it's interesting to say that this is an Eastwood movie through and through because we also watched Pale Rider.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Becky, I'm curious about this from you because we both watched Pale Rider for the last November, I believe.
Yes.
And that's an Eastwood movie. You would call that a pretty like traditional Eastwood film.
Yeah.
Did this feel the same way?
Yeah, this felt like an Eastwood movie.
Really?
Did it not to you? Does it feel different to you?
A little bit.
It's the content.
Yeah, the content's different,
because
but it's like this feels very Eastwood.
Because it's because you still have your strong lead, kicking ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a thriller, but what's off about it? It's like the way it's shot is like a horror, like a suspense movie.
Yeah.
It's more stylized than I would.
Super stylized, and it's a more vulnerable Clint.
That's very
during
true.
the era where he wasn't vulnerable at all.
I like that change in him.
Yeah.
When do we get full blown vulnerable Clint? Is that only when he finally gets like real old? Like is that post Unforgiven? Is that post Gran Turismo?
Because I know he did a romantic drama with Meryl Streep.
Yeah. Oh God, what's the name of that movie?
It's Becky's favorite film. Loves Meryl Streep.
I do love Meryl Streep, but
it's one of the, but
can't think of it off the top of my head. It's from the 80s, right?
Yeah, think late 80s, maybe early 90s.
It's not,
but it's like because even with Pale Rider, like you see his character,
Bridges of Madison County.
Oh, that's a famous one.
I'm like, why can't I think of it?
Even his character like softens up. Like it's his. So I think this is him kind of realizing
he changes with the times a little bit on
like
that.
he knows like there's only probably Dirty Harry was the thing that kind of because the Dirty Harry 4 flopped.
Which was Dirty Harry 4? Was that Sudden Impact?
I believe so. Yeah, it's the one that seemed very where it got a little out of hand.
Yeah. I mean, the Dirty Harry franchise is the franchise, like, what is it? It goes, like, the Dollars Trilogy, Dirty Harry, like, those are the things Clint Eastwood will forever be associated with.
But the fourth one, is always the stepchild that... It's kind of like the Rocky 5.
Yeah, Rocky...
That's what it is. It's essentially the Rocky... It's where, like, it's in line, it makes sense, but it's kind of like, you went a little...
No one's going back for that one in the marathon.
No.
It's the thing with like Eastwood in the movie specifically, and the opening scene and sequence or whatever like kind of gives it the whole vibe, because we go from this very stylized, very like Italian giallo shot horror sequence, right?
The whole thing's beautifully shot.
It is very beautiful. I love when he's wandering around like the red light district and it's all the neon and there's the shadows.
It's like if you want to think of neo-noir and Clint, this is what you get, like hard shadows. But when you have light, it's super colorful.
It's like reds and blues and purples,
deep tones. It's not like just like light shades, his deep tones,
and then you have like the nude mud wrestling with the
midget ref.
Yeah, you know.
Talk to the one with the big bazookas.
That is a line in this movie.
It is an 80s movie.
It is.
But that's why you don't think of it as a Clint movie.
True. Also,
it's too sleazy.
Also noted that as this being an 80s movie, this feels like one of those erotic thrillers from like the early 90s, not something from the mid-late 80s.
That's why it doesn't feel like a Clint movie to you.
Yeah, it feels weird.
That's why, man, my case for Clint as one of the best directors is constantly being built when you start looking at it.
I get it. Eastwood can do no wrong in your eyes.
No. I'm just saying, you know, he kind of gets, you know, he always brushing to the side a little. Yeah, sure.
Old Clint Eastwood.
Sure. I mean, I guess he's made some of the greatest films, but hey,
you know,
he's not Tarantino.
You know. So he's one of the most bankable stars and directors in Hollywood history. Whatever, it's fine.
It's Clint.
It's Clint. But indicative of the movie and the tonal shifts the movie goes through and the different plot lines we get. Opens with the stalking, right?
Yeah.
And we cut right from the killer's sneakers to the exact same pair of sneakers, but this time on Clint Eastwood as
different color.
Different color.
Mm-hmm.
But he's playing catch with his kids in this nice suburb, and they find a dog.
But the way they shoot it is to think the dog that they might have found a body.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like a little bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few of those in the film.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's like, oh, they find a dog, and they're like, what are we gonna do, Daddy? And he goes and he adopts the new dog, and we see that he's adopted like 5 fucking dogs, and he's just like, all right, honey, we're gonna go play, and we're gonna go down and watch the Saints play at the stadium because I'm a great
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football, and it's like, oh, okay, so Clint Eastwood's in like a family film, and then he gets like, all right, kids, I'm sorry. Gotta go into work, and then he gets pulled into the investigation. But the tonal shift from we see the opening as like a hard giallo and go right into Disney Channel original family film. He literally adopts the dog. It's adorable.
Yeah, that's why Clint's the best, man.
Clint's the best. And he adopts the dogs.
Well, I mean, they have to put it out there too that he's the good guy. He adopts the dog, even though they have 6 dogs at home already. Like, all right, we could have the dog.
It's literally save the cat. It is literally save the cat.
But it's put because the start of the movie is hinting at, hey guys, this might be Clint.
That's something the movie does a lot.
And because you got to remember, like, even though in these HD scans, you can clearly see it's not Clint.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you're back then,
if you're in an actual drive-in or a movie theater where it's on film
in the 80s, where the projection isn't so crisp during that time, then you're gonna be like, oh shit, maybe that is Clint.
It's a little dark on the screen, you know. If we're just seeing the hat, we're seeing, you know, the jacket. Could be anybody.
Actually, to go with that, because last night we went to go see Scream on 16.
I saw it.
Yeah, we went to see it at the Frida, and you're hitting it right on the head. There's some things where film is like a great format or whatever. It has live grain, whatever. But you can definitely lose shit in like shadows if it's not exposed right or whatever. You always
got to remember, like, when things get HD rescans and you're like, how did they get away with it? Well, they knew there's a certain clarity to it that they can always get away with. And so when something gets that 4K rescan or some type of, you know, high def rescan, you're going to see those, you know, those things they knew back then they can get away with.
It's like you can see the wire. It's like, well, they probably couldn't see the wire when it was going to be projected on a back of a building.
But if the movie's good enough, you just kind of go along with that reality. That might be Clint.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing with the movie. It does that a few times, right? Yeah. And that's like an added element to the plot.
Like after the first hour, then it's like we get there, but at a certain point, it becomes, okay, it's not Clint.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at no point I thought it was, like, not even with the idea of, like, seeing the guy or whatever. Just, like, how the movie is playing, I'm like, I don't think he is the guy. I think he's afraid he would be the guy.
Yeah.
Like, he sees himself in that way. Because the movie has this whole theme thing of him his relationship with women as
Yeah.
sexual objects and
Mhm.
things like that throughout the movie.
I think especially post divorce.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's almost him where he has this very internalized, maybe not like self-hate, like hatred of women, but it's like the sexualization and like oh, this woman broke my heart, thus all women, and then it.
I think it's more, this woman broke my heart, thus I'll get physical, but I won't get emotionally
Yeah.
involved.
It's sex versus intimacy.
But because even when he's, fucking plowing these women, he's never, you never see him like joyful.
Yeah,
It's
just,
very,
he's getting his rocks off, and that's it.
yeah, he's getting his heart on.
Yeah.
Becky, was that your favorite part of the movie when Clint Eastwood had to explain to his real life daughter what a hard-on was?
I wasn't expecting that.
That was,
If-
that was
if
a
I-
good moment, right?
If I'd been drinking something, I would have spit the drink out too. I was like, "That's great." I love the older daughter. She was just like,
Oh no.
she's like, I want to see him explain and be like, "Dad, no, you got to stop. This was funny for like 5 minutes, and then it just no,
Well, you see,
it's terrible."
when Mama Bear and Papa Bear, and then the Papa Bee and the.
It is, by the way, everyone, it is that awkward.
Yeah.
It is that like, fuck. Are we sure we don't want to cut anything from the script?
I mean, I love when it comes back later, and it's with the babysitter,
Mhm.
and the little girl's like, "Dad, do you have a heart on for Beryl?" And it's just like, babysitter's just like, "What?"
And Clint just,
Lord.
this single dad thing really is really going downhill right now.
Starting to weigh down on me a little. But as the movie goes,
Mhm.
Clint, he's brought on to be the lead detective on
Yeah.
the murder, and through this is where he meets Beryl, who is the head of the rape crisis center,
Mhm.
Yes.
right? And she believes that this is connected to a string of other rape murders
Yeah.
that have been going on through the city, and he's like, I don't know about that. He's a little resistant, but this is them meeting and starting
but-
their flirtations.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first, because he goes through the lab first. After the murder, you see
Yeah.
him go through the labs, and this is where it's like you don't get this much. Like they're going through the actual. Here are the fibers. Here's
Mhm.
this. It's very, it's a big total shift. You go from Giallo murder,
Yes, Giallo murder, family.
police scene, and now we're in a police procedural, like
Yeah,
um,
it's very
like
technical.
SVU.
Mhm.
Yes, actually,
Very
yes.
SVU-ish. And then now here's the meet cute.
Mm-hmm.
The blah, blah,
Tell her I'm on vacation. How was your vacation? And it's just like,
yes.
Yep.
Tell her I'm out. And she says she'll wait. Tell her I'm on vacation.
Walks into the office. She's in there. How was your vacation? That's the thing. The movie is balancing a lot of plot lines, tones, ideas.
Bow down to the goat.
Yes, we get it.
Come on, Dean.
I mean, it's a thing because the movie is made because Eastwood wanted to do the script because he read the script and he loved it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he needed something that wasn't after Dirty Harry. He needed something else.
He needed something else, and also I think Clint Eastwood is one of those actors that understands his star power.
Yeah.
And is like, like if I want to show off a little bit, I have to take risk, and I don't think Eastwood's ever been afraid to take risk on his star power.
No, never.
So, the movie, right? We get the meet cute. It's very nice.
It's very sarcastic. Like,
I like how it has almost this like 30s pitter patter.
yeah,
Mhm.
When they're talking to each other.
it's very snappy.
Very snappy. But the thing I'm going to get at is after this moment, we fall into a thing that the script is doing where it hits every single one of these plots kind of one after the other.
Yeah.
But a big chunk of the procedural giallo part is the killer killing somebody and Clint Eastwood plowing the fuck out of a prostitute who is tangentially connected to the crimes, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that's like the next hour of the movie.
so
yeah.
Yeah.
it's weird, right?
Mhm.
He goes, gets head from a prostitute.
Yeah.
The first one he questions, she doesn't die. She's the only one that doesn't die.
Correct. And she is related to the murder
The
that
murder,
he's investigating.
the first murder,
The first one.
because they had a a lesbian session, or was it a menage a trois that they just happened to be more intimate with each other?
It was
Because
something...
it was said, I heard you two were making a sandwich.
Oh God, that's
yeah.
yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
the menage a trois.
It was more of a menage a trois.
The
but,
80s were a different time.
But his implication is they were doing the menage a trois to be romantic with each other.
Yeah,
And
because
that it would- the sandwich just happened to be whatever was filling.
exactly. But because it's a thing where all the victims are prostitutes, including the victim that he's investigating. That's kind of leads him there.
Yeah.
'Cause most of the movie's
It's
investigation
all
is
sex workers that
Yeah.
die.
yeah, it's all sex workers. He only is investigating brothels and strip clubs and things
Mhm.
like that.
Except the babysitter. I think the babysitter dies.
She does.
Yes.
But
Well, you
never-
don't know what the babysitter does on her off time.
Well,
It's hard out there for a pimp, man. Come on.
They imply it, but they never show what happens to the babysitter.
No, they show what happens to
Do
the...
they?
Yeah, she's shoved in the washing machine. Or no, the dryer.
The dryer, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, she does.
Brandon's like, man, this movie's like goated or whatever. And it's like, oh,
No,
yeah,
no,
she's in the dryer. That's kind of cartoony, Clint. Come on now.
No. It wasn't the most heinous of all the murders, you know.
Yeah, that one's definitely the most. Michael Myers is the killer. What the hell? But I guess because the next part of it is far more like this happens, he investigates.
Yeah.
This happens, he investigates. This happens, he investigates. Goes back to his family. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Where in this like act 2 before the climax do we want to talk about? Because I really like when the killer gets the woman at the hot tub.
Okay, so
Because that's really stylized, and I really
That-
like that setup and that drawn out
So-
scene.
Did it just remind you of Eyes Wide Shut because of the mask?
A little bit. Also, the masks in this movie.
well, it was during Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
I love movies that take place during like Mardi Gras. I like the mask. I like the music. I
Yeah.
really like New Orleans as a setting for this
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
stuff.
So it's important to remember. So he goes murder, and then he goes to the prostitute that knows the murder victim, right?
Mhm.
Nothing happens to her because him and the serial killer aren't on the same path yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's not till the following murder where they realize the first and the second murder are connected.
Mhm.
And then that leads him to the next victim on accident. So there's a second murder.
Yeah.
In a hot tub, the scene you like where she, I'll make it worth this time for me being late, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
She goes, she gets in, gets fucking suffocated, whatever. They find her body, they drain the hot tub, see the tattoo. That tattoo leads Clint to a tattoo shop
Mhm.
where another prostitute's being tatted.
With the same tattoo, I think.
It's similar styles.
Yeah.
Same artist.
Same artist. That's what
Mhm.
connects them. And while he goes to a different room, she flirts with him, and that's when you get the famous line, "I don't like bowling either."
Mhm.
Yes. The famous line.
Famous line.
It is it the most famous Clint Eastwood line of all time.
Might be.
Infamous.
Might be.
Yeah.
I don't like bowling. And then
Boo, do you like bowling?
I don't like bowling.
You don't like bowling?
I don't like bowling.
he goes to the lab again, and then
Mhm.
they make the announcement these are connected.
Yeah.
And then from there on, the serial killer follows Clint to each and every woman he
Mm-hmm.
asks of.
Every woman he interacts with after that point is now a victim.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
No, every single one,
Yeah.
except his youngest daughter.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. Every woman he interacts with is a victim except his youngest daughter. Well, and
Is a
Beryl
target.
is a target.
No, Beryl is.
Is Beryl's
Uh,
not killed?
no, but she's attacked.
She is attacked.
Yeah, they're not safe. Like
That's right. Yeah, because his youngest daughter isn't attacked. His oldest daughter
Mhm.
is.
Yes.
That's right. And
Who is his actual daughter?
who is his actual daughter? Which, fucking nepotism, fucking nepo babies.
Well, I mean,
swear,
you know,
even back in the 80s.
Also with this, his daughter was followed by a stalker
Wait, for real?
for real in real life. Someone was obsessed with this film. I think he was from like New Zealand, and he came here and he became her stalker because he was just so enthralled with this
Jodie
movie.
Foster.
Mhm.
The '80s has something with stalkers and
Yeah,
and young actresses.
There was something in the water, man.
I mean, there's tons of documentaries about all the stalkers in the 80s, early 90s.
Okay, so the true crime, economy, right, of documentaries and stuff. The 70s is locked with the serial killer documentaries,
Mhm.
right? We're
Yeah.
never going to beat the 70s in terms of serial killer docs. in the 90s has like the drug and the street crime stuff. They have that. Does the 80s take over the economy of stalkers of true crime documentaries?
Maybe if you give me time to think about it.
No, don't give time to think about it. This is just a shitty tangent. I was trying to make
Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
And the killer in the beginning of this movie looked like the mailman from the music video.
That's true.
But you know why you can't think of anything? It's because the Cold War was really all of the 80s.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. Reaganomics. So, we have like the series of murders and investigations and things like that. I'm really interested in this section because the aesthetics of it are really on point. You know, the club scene with, as we mentioned, with the naked mud wrestling and the, you know, the dwarf referee, the little referee. You know, they walk in and it has like the deep shadows and things like that. It feels like it's out of like an old noir movie, just way sleazier.
Yeah, it's super. This movie is just sleaze throughout. Like it's like you get these moments with him and his kids, and then you're back into the dirty nightlife of New Orleans.
Actually, Boo, did you get like any tonal whiplash from that, going from like the family life into just let's just have Clint Eastwood's bare ass covered in oil?
Not whiplash, but it was more, you know, seeing how his character could kind of spiral, because it's just he only gets to be with his kids for a fraction of time. It's just, you know, I'm getting pulled to another call because you have a serial killer on the loose. You know, he's got to go. So it's just like you get those brief moments of clarity where it's like he can actually breathe, and then it's back into the nightlife. And his daughter even makes a point of, you know, can't you work during the day? Exactly. You know, it's like, do you have to work at night?
Some of the people don't have day jobs.
Yeah.
And that even leads into him having his, could I be the serial killer? And the movie trying to convince the audience that he is and is not. And
I mean, I like that, but I was kind of like, wow, he's, you know, hooking up with all these women. Watch him get, you know, pulled in, since we're, you know, doing the whole forensics thing. Yeah. It's going to be, you know, well, that's your DNA. We have your DNA on file, or we have your prints on file, and
he
were there.
Almost does.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of like. That's what it's going to turn into.
He leaves his handcuffs on the woman at the place of the woman he met, the prostitute he met at the tattoo shop.
That's right.
Who was oil wrestling at the bar.
Yes.
Because
everything's all connected.
Who the midget calls the girl with the big bazookas. I could see Alex playing that referee.
That would be the role of a lifetime.
Yeah, I choose the one with the big bazookas.
He has said that. Yes. Just casual conversation.
Willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly. Just throws it out there, you know.
Willy-nilly big bazookas.
Hey, Alex, you know, how's the weather doing? The one with the big bazookas.
We're going to have to put a tracker how many times that's been said in this episode.
We're up to at least 7. So, eventually, the forensics does come through, and he does finally get the lead that the killer works at a brewery, right?
Yes.
And it's weird to like figure out the pace of it, because the movie is like slow to the point where I think we get the realization it's the brewery at like the midpoint of the film. It's pretty close to the midpoint.
So it's the midpoint, and then it becomes this weird like internal struggle with himself, right? After he has because when the brewery happens, he asks Beryl like to go out with him.
Yes.
Like after he went and looked for her at the gym.
Yes. Where
they have the weird sexual tension there as they're
the tandem workout.
Yeah, so as she's doing the leg press and he's doing the shoulder press, and she's trying to match his pace, and he realizes it, and so he goes behind to do dips because there's a dip bar behind her leg press machine.
And I'm just like, you know, he's just doing that, and I'm like, is he trying to like just rub his dick on the back of her head as he's doing dips? Is that what's going on here?
It's been this weird sexual tension that's built up between the two, right? Like even when he was questioning her earlier on in the movie about, you know, the fact she's going out with the mayor, and he goes, "I heard he's gay,"
and she's like, "I heard you done some things too," and he's like, "Where do you think I got the rumor from?"
And she gives him the wink though, like she gives him the wink, like yes, sure, but
it's the 80s. Things are happening.
Exactly. People swinging.
We're experimenting.
Okay, that that's another thing, because the movie does have like heavy implications that
no,
he's had gay experiences.
It's weirdly progressive when you think about Clint movies.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Is again, fine, I get it. Clint Eastwood, is one of the GOATs for sure. But it is interesting that it's like 1984, and he's playing a character that is one very sexually promiscuous and open and whatnot, and he's also like, I've slept with dudes. It is what it is.
I might have.
But it leads to, for me, the scariest scene in the film when he goes into that warehouse.
Oh, right after the gay bar?
Where they kill the male prostitute.
That's right.
Which, by the way,
another
cool.
They killed a male prostitute. I forgot about that. They did.
Yeah, I'm saying cool because I love that setup and build up because because Block, right? He gets a letter from the killer to like meet me here or whatever.
Wear something.
Where's like a black flower or whatever, and he goes to one place, and then that place leads him to the gay bar.
Cat and mouse game.
Yeah, cat and mouse game, and it's all this thing where the killer is getting Block deeper and deeper into the nightlife, and then he meets a male prostitute who was like, so a guy paid me to like give you the best night of your life, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm on the clock. He's like, so am I, and he's like, oh, I can tell. And he's doing a whole like again another romantic pitter patter with this guy,
like flirting essentially.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. What was the killer's intention? Was the killer's intention to get Block to do something with him, to meet him at the warehouse, to do that? Was it just another thing for him fucking with him?
No, it's fucking with him.
Yeah,
because like, he at certain times he watched him when he was getting the massage with the woman that they put glasses on to make her look unattractive.
The greatest trope in cinema.
Like
if you put glasses on Jessica Alba, 2 out of 10.
Yeah, and like he's watching.
Yeah,
from the caged ceiling.
So he knows that like he's very cold. Even so, he's trying to like, I want to see what makes you tick. Like, let me set you up and see. He gets the feeling that he's already shooken. Because that when is it? Is it the Mardi Gras happens after the gay bar, right?
I believe so, because the Mardi Gras is like kind of the last moment before the third act climax.
So that's when he kind of that's like setting him up, and then we get to Mardi Gras after that whole scene where you find the dead male prostitute. The Mardi Gras scene, like where he has Beryl and his kids, and you get to see the killer there just in
I love it. He's in the clown costume.
Yeah.
With the red ribbon.
With the red ribbon, which is a theme throughout it.
Yeah, the red threads that are found at every crime scene.
Yep.
Also, just because Block invites Beryl out to like, hey, come out,
after
with my kids, and after the gym.
After the gym, they go. You wanna go? What is it? Toss some oysters.
Yes.
On the ferry boat.
Yeah. So they go on a ferry boat, and then that's when he's just up front. Like, tell me what you want. Like, she's like, tell me what you want. I want to see how the sweat lick the sweat off of you and see how it tastes.
She asks, goes, what do you want? He's like, I want to lick the sweat off of your naked body. And she's like, oh.
He's like,
well, all right then.
She's like, bet.
No. She was like, and she was like, oh, and he was like, is it what I said? She's like, no, it's the way you said it.
The confidence. I need to ask.
And no, she was mad because it sounded like, because she already knew at that point, like, oh, you've told this to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So, I need to ask. Becky, boo.
Yes.
Clint Eastwood in this movie, is he actually as attractive as they're trying to make him seem here? Fucking 50-year-old Clint Eastwood, could he still get it?
Not with me.
I would hope not. For some reasons. But...
Not with me, but I mean, yeah, I think he could. Because, I mean, Beryl's matching him in age. So it's not like, it's some, young, hot chick. It's like, no, it's somebody that's...
But also, you saw that man in the gym.
He was still, he was still in shape.
Still pumping iron, He's like, I might be 55, but goddamn it, I still got a six-pack.
Yeah. I was seeing him throughout this, right? And I was like, damn, imagine this Clint Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne Batman.
Okay.
Because there were scenes of him in the shadow in like his suit, just.
Okay, so the best moment in all of human history to make Dark Knight Returns, like, the movie would have been like 1984 to 1990, like when Clint Eastwood was still able to do this. But who do you get to play the Joker in your Dark Knight Return if it's Clint Eastwood now?
Now?
Or not? No, Clint Eastwood in '84. My bad.
Okay. Clint Eastwood back then? If they shot it, between '84 and '90.
Sure. Who do you get to play the Joker then? If it's Eastwood, do you just get Jack Nicholson before Tim Burton does?
No,
because you need a more serious Joker, like in the Dark Knight series.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just like sidetracking the whole podcast now, but I just need to know.
I'm trying to think who is around.
Because this Clint has to be Blondie. A Blondie as the Dark Knight.
Oh, like a man with no name, good, the bad, the ugly into this.
Yeah,
brings that energy into it.
That energy and that age.
I see what you're getting at. I see what you're throwing down.
Yeah.
Well, as we ruminate on that,
yes.
So
I'm just telling you, this Clint
would fuck.
He has a look.
He's got a look. But I bring the whole, is Clint Eastwood attractive or whatever, because I'm curious, do you buy the block barrel relationship? Like, is it forming organically? Do you think, because I think it does, because they are matching each other in age, maturity.
And they're sort of, she's sort of
his foil.
Yeah, and she understands because she works with rape victims.
Mm-hmm.
And he essentially works with victims of rape and murder, right? Mm-hmm. So she understands, at least in part, the type of trauma he has.
Yeah. As
to why he's always so, kind of distant from everybody. So she's willing to overlook some of the coldness to close the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it kind of works.
Yeah, I see that.
And that's why, like, when the massage girl dies, he goes to her first. Like, I had no one else to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads to them going to Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads to the clown figuring out, oh, he got kids.
Yep.
He got kids. He got a girl. I know where they live.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Hide your babysitter.
Hide your babysitter. Yeah, I think it's just interesting with that relationship because she is like, she looks past the coldness, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But also, she is his foil because he is like, I'm here to fuck, right? I'm here to just. And she's like, not here for that. I'm here for like intimacy, a relationship, and she kind of like puts him in his fucking place,
which is what he needs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the whole movie is like the story is a man
healing.
It's a man.
It's a man literally healing.
A man.
I mean, we
healing.
have that scene where he's, he finds out that his ex-wife is getting married, and he gets, blitzed, and his daughter comes out. The table's flipped. He's hanging off the couch, and she's like, "Oh, not again." But she helps him, and gets him back on the couch, and she lays with him, and comforts her dad. And it's like this man is still very much in love with his ex-wife, and he's struggling. But I think with Beryl, it gets, easy. It gets easier.
That's also an interesting scene because this is, the world of 1980. This is taking place in the middle of 1980s, like Reagan America, of like, we're trying to do the 50s again. It's like going to be strong families and this and that. And this movie is about a guy who is like divorced, single dad, who is barely keeping it together, who drinks himself into a stupor, and his young daughter has to like, come on, Dad, let's get you into bed. And I'm like, this is kind of like against the grain of like normal American perceived culture. It's weird.
This is why Dean didn't think it was a Clint movie.
I'm like, how is that not normal? I'm like, that's a lot where the older siblings have to, kind of step in and parent.
Well, no, I get that.
Clint plays a very vulnerable character, and that's why it feels so off.
Yeah,
especially during this era.
Oh yeah, very much.
When he gets older, he realizes I can't, be all saddled on up.
I gotta cry macho now. Damn.
Yeah. So basically, that's why for you it feels so like not a Clint movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very like surprised by how well he does it. at this
Yes.
point, like it's again very weird. But I digress. Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
a celebration, clowns,
Family.
family,
City together. Safety.
safety,
Life.
Mardi Gras. It's about family.
Killer clown.
Family.
Thank you. So they go to Mardi Gras, and this is around the time where they've closed in enough on the killer to kind of to figure out who he is at least.
Kind of, yes. Kind of, sort of, no.
I think they know enough where he works at the brewery. No, because this is leading to the climax, because he figures out that, oh my God, this is the guy I arrested.
That was a former cop.
A former cop
just
2 years ago.
He was going through old paper clippings of sex criminals.
Yeah.
Yes, and he finally made the connection, and he's like, oh, there was a guy who raped 2 women a couple years ago. I arrested him. He was a cop.
Yeah.
And now, wait, that makes sense. That's why he's following me and targeting me. That makes sense finally.
The uniform.
And
that was the biggest hint that, blink and you miss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they finally, he gets Dan Hedaya, his partner in crime. Mr. looks like Richard Nixon himself. They go to the guy's apartment. They're staking it out, right? Because they're waiting for him to come home. They're going to pick him up. What he doesn't know is that the killer is at Block's house.
Because of Mardi Gras.
Exactly.
He puts the 2 and 2 together. Like, oh, these kids are yours. The rape victim advocate is your girl. Well, buddy.
Well.
But the only thing he doesn't get to do is strangle anybody with the red ribbon. Because the balloon flies away.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So the balloon flies away, so he doesn't have the red ribbon anymore. He attacks the barrel first, right? Yeah. So he goes and he attacks... No, he doesn't attack barrel first. It's his family. It's his daughters. I'm thinking barrel because of the dream. Yeah.
The first barrel attack was Clint's dream, thinking that...
He did it.
After Mardi Gras. Thinking, I'm gonna kill this woman.
This movie's confusing. But we get to the climax point where it is like a horror movie at this point.
Yeah. No, it legitimately turns into... Because he takes out the 2 cops watching his home.
Yeah.
2 cops watching his home, kills the babysitter in the classic, like, oh, she opens up the fridge to grab something, closes it, killer's there.
And then he has the tea.
Or the coffee.
He has the coffee that she made.
Because that was one of the calling cards from the other murders, was he was leaving.
He eats a baked good, and he drinks the coffee, no fingerprints, though.
Yes.
I like that, where he's just like, I've murdered you. Oh, is this espresso? Oh my lord! I don't imagine it's a calling card. He just gets a little hungry after.
Like Clint says, because they're always like, "Why would he do that?" He's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Like he needs, why would he have coffee, and leave her alive for 3 hours? It's part
of the game.
They do the serial killer building him up, giving you his MO throughout without hammering it. Like, hey. Duh, remember.
I mean, it goes into the whole thing where the killer is like in those giallo movies.
Yeah.
Where you don't really know anything about him. I mean, he's not, the killer's not a character.
No.
He is a set of motives, a set of victims, and nothing else. And that really leans into the whole dream sequence of Eastwood putting himself into the killer's shoes and all this stuff, and the whole title of the movie. It's the Tightrope, right?
You're more or less it's more or less from Clint's perspective, Block's perspective. He doesn't know much about the guy either.
Yeah.
It's very much you're as in the know as he is throughout the movie, and the only thing we know about him after he was a former cop.
Yeah.
And that likes to strangle women with a red ribbon, get his rocks off, and drink coffee and eat one bite from a baked good.
I would not have that kind of discipline. Just one
that
bite.
Kind of restraint.
Just one bite of that brownie.
He would leave all his.
He'd be passed out on the ground, I really needed that nap after that snack.
Oh Lord! Did that man eat a whole dozen donuts and pass out at the crime scene? Yeah, yes. It's astounding.
There must have been melatonin in those donuts, because man, it was just lights out for me.
I'm a simple man. So Block manages to get back to his house just in time. His youngest daughter is asleep in her bed.
Just in time to have his first physical encounter.
Yes. Which is interesting to me that this wasn't the ending fight climax, right? It
just keeps going.
It goes for a while, but he gets in, he finds his oldest daughter is like tied up in his bedroom or whatever, beaten up, and he like takes her, the youngest daughter hides him in the closet, and then he's going to stalk around the house to find the killer. The killer gets the jump on him, they're fighting for the gun. The dog he saved in the beginning of the movie, Occam's dog, comes back around, bites the killer, manages to save Clint Eastwood's life from being strangled. And then I love how the movie does it. We cut back into the closet with the daughters. We hear 2 gunshots. Pop, pop. Pop, pop. Some footsteps, real quiet.
The daughter going, Daddy.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Love the build-up. And we're in that for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and then the red ribbon as the door
opens. He's holding the red ribbon. We're like, oh no. Because, again, it's not the 70s. If this was the 70s, the killer would have won and killed both those girls. It's 1984, and I'm like, Clint Eastwood might fucking kill these 2 girls. And then finally we reveal that it's Block. And he got away, honey. Don't worry. But the cops are on their way. So now the cops are there. Block's like, he got away. I don't know what happened, what have you. And then I think that's when it clicks in his head that, he's going to attack Beryl.
Yeah.
So he goes to her.
He runs.
He runs. Yeah. He just like straight up like tears ass across town, and she's getting attacked by the killer.
But her training
kicks in.
Kind of.
But
she wasn't able to hit him in the balls and make the golf balls fall off.
Yes, but we forgot to mention, Clint goes to the Rape Advocate Center. And like sees her training a class of women on how to defend themselves from potential rapists, stalkers, whatever. So it builds it up to where this character plausibly can fight off this big dude that's been just fucking
murdering people,
wrecking men and women.
And then she's doing good, and then she kind of just stops, and it's like, no, you got to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Again, Beryl. Smith & Wesson, greatest self-defense on the planet.
She was doing pretty good with the scissors.
She was doing pretty good with the scissors.
And then she just stopped, and I was like, Beryl, no, you got to keep fighting.
You
don't leave the scissors in his arm where he can just reach them and come after you.
That's the movie logic kicking in, honestly. But she does get away.
Yeah.
Because
her whole point is always, I think, when the training was, you just need to get away.
Yes.
Like, it's not about taking him down. It's just
get away, get to safety. And that's when Block comes in just in time to, like, get the killer, to get away from Beryl. And then we have the chase, right?
Yeah.
They go through the graveyard. They go through the train station, and they go through the train yard. And it's fascinating. There's no music for this whole section. It's just a long foot chase. I love a good foot chase. But it's long.
Yeah.
It's a while.
It's very, like, is he gonna get him?
Is he gonna get him?
Or is he gonna lose him again and have to fucking just be in fear forever?
I just find it fascinating that the movie's climactic fight, the back and forth, is like 2 separate attacks on people he cares about, and it's over the course of like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And they finally get to the final fight. The train's coming, and
they're rolling around on the track.
The train finally passes by, and we see like the killer's hands like on his throat. And he's like, pulls it off, and then we see that the killer got splattered by a train.
Yeah.
And
the nice little effect, with the hand still twitching.
And then he just picks up Beryl, and they walk off into the rising sun
to meet the cops.
Yeah. Just and credits roll. It's a happy ending.
Yes.
So this movie, Tightrope.
Yes.
Becky, your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, I love psychological, thrillers. This was good. It hit so many different levels. I know you were kind of getting bogged with all the different storylines that were going on in it, but I think it works because it just shows how stressed out Block is. It's not like, he's just this hardened, detective. It's like, no, he's a dad. He's, a divorced person. So he's dealing with all these different things apart from the stress from his career.
I think it's a thing where the movie reminds me a lot of Cruising, the William Friedkin, Al Pacino film. Reminds me a lot of that. And because that one's really just procedural and home life stuff, that's kind of it for the most part. And I think the reason I get bogged down is because it feels like, again, they almost kind of don't make movies like this anymore, where they have these multiple plot lines and all of them just have so much breathing room. There's so much breathing room in this movie.
And the nice thing about it is, like, nothing's left hanging. They all at some point intersect and go into one. Like, as one closes, now we're going to meet another one.
It's the storytelling thing of back at the farm. You get this point in the movie, and then you go back to the farm, and then you come back to the story, and it's that kind of whole narrative structure.
Or it's the red yarn. It's all the different strands, and finally, they intersect.
Yeah, exactly. On the board.
On the big board,
yeah. The big board. Yeah, the movie is just a very interesting.
What do the numbers mean, Dean?
What do the numbers mean, Mason? I'm very interested in the movie. I think the script would be fascinating to read, because I'm very curious, like, how actually it, like, lays out, because I feel the movie is, like, it has so much breathing room, and I wonder how much of that is just the filmmaking and how much of that is on the page.
That'd be interesting to know. But from the interview, Richard, we'll call him Dick, Dick did a few weeks
Tuggle.
Last month.
Let's not call him Dick, because that'd be
Dick Tugg.
Dick Tuggle.
Dick Tuggs.
Yes.
He pretty much said, like, everything he wrote, word for word, except one line.
One line.
Hold up, I couldn't write it all on my notes, so let me pull up the page.
While you're doing that,
it would make a great novel.
Here we go.
It would make a really good novel. I can definitely see this as, like, a nice pulp fiction-y, like, mystery novel.
And then you could really get into, the family life and what happened with him and his wife, and, just really kind of fill in more of those empty pieces.
It's interesting we never meet his wife.
Well, she never talks. We see her.
Oh yeah,
She picks up the kids with her new husband
in the town car, just to give him the rub-ins.
Yeah, and then she's in the hospital room at the end.
Is she in the hospital room? Oh yeah, with the daughter.
So he made one line change. The line in the screenplay, the line was, "I treat my wife more tenderly in bed." And Clint changed it to, "I treat my wife more tenderly."
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that. Taking the bed part out removes it from being, like,
just
purely sexual.
Yeah.
To more, like, emotionally, like in a relationship.
The job made him cherish his wife more.
I like oddly enough, I like the change.
Yeah.
It's one word dropped and it's like, nah, better line.
Better context.
Yeah.
Better, like, oh shit. That's why you never overthink the writing. Sometimes it's just a simple, let me take one word out, and it changes everything.
Sometimes you just let Clint Eastwood do his thing.
Let him cook.
Well, they did let him cook.
They did let him cook. They've been letting that man cook for, like, fucking 80 years.
Yeah, the writer was like, I didn't expect Clint to, want to do all, like, be okay with it. Like, but he was he understood there was a risk, but he said,
hey,
yeah,
oil my cheeks up.
Okay.
And don't make me bowl.
Don't make me bowl. So the legacy of Eastwood, because we've done Pale Rider, we've done, lots of Eastwood movies on the podcast. So
I'm telling you, Dean, come around my way. We got plenty of room here.
Look, I'm just saying because, Tightrope is kind of, I would say it's like a forgotten Eastwood movie. It's a low-key Eastwood movie. I've never heard people talk about this film before.
No.
So it's almost a thing where it's like, if this is like, it's a forgotten Eastwood movie, and it's still like, this is pretty fucking good. This is like actually probably like a solid, like, I would give this to people who are like, oh, you want like giallo, you want like mystery, you want this, that. Yeah. This is where you go. And I'm just curious as like, Eastwood's legacy is going to be tied up in the Westerns, like, if we be honest. but I don't think that's a true scope of his oeuvre. This is way more in line with his stuff. He's a guy that takes chances, will make weird shit. He's like, yeah, I know I'm 55, but I'll show my ass in this movie. That'll put butts in seats. You know, like
I'm pretending to be 10 years younger than I actually am.
Exactly.
So I was reading, apparently, when Warner Brothers put the trailer out, because this was a blockbuster for them.
Mm-hmm.
This was a blockbuster for them?
Yes. And so they
made... Wait. This is a blockbuster for them. This movie would not see like the light of day if it was made by a studio today.
So they cut the trailer to make it seem like just like another Dirty Harry type movie.
Oh, like an action flick?
Yeah, so imagine you're going into the theater. Oh, here we go. Clint about to... Like, because they framed it like Clint against the city. Like, the mayor might be the... Like, you know.
It's like Sweeney Todd, where they didn't add music into the trailer.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's one of the things I find the most fascinating piece.
Context is needed for everything. Like when you're doing retrospectives on films, it's always you need a little like how was it marketed?
Yes,
right? That'll always tell you why a film didn't do well or did well.
Deadpool 2, where they marketed it as a romantic comedy.
I always felt that was tongue in cheek. I always felt like that was intentional.
It was, but it worked.
Yeah, it worked though.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, they marketed it as like kind of like a pseudo Dirty Harry type of movie. Mm-hmm. Then imagine you're all right, here we go. There's new Clint about to kick ass and oh no, Clint's tortured. Oh no.
Oh no.
It's why is it shot like why is it shot so
oily cheeks?
Yeah. Why is Clint over here whipping out titties?
There are titties in this movie.
There are
tons of titties.
That's another
big old bazookas.
Bazookas. It's always a thing where I find it fascinating that people qualify Clint Eastwood as like he's an action hero, an action star, and I'm like it's weird because he doesn't look like an action hero. Like he doesn't look like, especially in the 80s. Yeah. He doesn't look like Schwarzenegger. Doesn't look like Stallone. Doesn't look like Bruce Willis or whatever. No. It's like it's always fascinating when they characterize him as an action hero.
I believe you're looking for the word aura.
It's presence.
It's aura. It's just
he exudes something.
It's just you think of Clint and you just think of this man that's just fucking putting belt to ass on any man that sits in front of him. You know,
he's putting what, sir? One more time.
Belt to ass.
Belt to ass.
I've never heard that phrase.
I've never heard the term. Yeah. Let's put some belt to ass.
Yes, it's how you describe like ass kicking. Like they when you get your ass whooped by your parents, put that belt to ass.
Put that belt to ass. I'm gonna use that one now. All right. But yeah. So
anytime the Lions beat the shit out of the Packers, Goff put that belt to ass on.
You shut your whore mouth.
That was a bad game. Hey, it was so bad.
Dan Campbell chewed your kneecaps and put that belt to ass.
How the Raiders doing, by the way?
Hey, brother. we didn't make a quarterback that had 8 good games, the highest paid quarterback.
Yeah, motherfucker. Look.
And he's sitting out for how many games now?
Yeah.
Poor Dak.
Lord. Anything else we got about Tightrope?
It was really good. I recommend it.
Yeah.
I would recommend it too. Honestly, at this point, I think I could recommend kind of any Eastwood movie that he directed. Yeah. I want to play Misty for me, like, outside of the podcast, and I think that's his first, like, directed movie.
Yeah.
That movie slaps. So, yeah, Tightrope.
Telling you, Dean. Go ahead. Call him one of the goats already, Dean. Come on, Dean. It's becoming impossible to deny his presence on the Mount Rushmore.
Okay, everyone. I want you guys to know
remember
something.
This. He has more slaps than Tarantino does.
Accurate. I want everyone to know. Brandon will make wild claims. I mean, like, wild claims to me sometimes. And I'm like, dude, like, what are you fucking talking about? And then I'm no joke. It'll be like 3 years later. I'll have an epiphany moment. And I will come to him and be like, Brandon, how did you know? And this has happened a bunch of times. What is it? What is it? Kurosawa is better than Wells and Hitchcock. And I'm like, no, he's not. And there's like, motherfucker. Justice League is a great movie.
Yes.
You might actually get me on fucking Eastwood being a goat. I'm a little annoyed by it. The Snyder Cut Justice League is the only way to do it. Also, Snyder Cut all the DC universe is the best way to view those movies. This angers me to no end how right you are all the time and how long it takes me to accept it.
I don't make a claim unless I'm very firm in my beliefs. I sit and I quietly consume all of this. And I'm like, all right.
And then he says wild shit like the Raiders are gonna take it this year.
Well,
and I'm waiting for that to happen.
Listen, it's just that's called copium. You know, you need positivity to go into a season that won't be positive. You need a hope. You can't be like, imagine being a fan of the Yankees and the Knicks and the Jets, and your name is Alex. Couldn't be me.
Those are some rough times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tightrope. This was a good pick.
Yeah.
I agree. And go Dodgers.
Yes.
Yeah. But what are we doing next week?
Womp womp.
Yeah. Next week we have another Justice League guest joining us.
We do.
Oh,
Dylan's coming back.
What's the movie?
Well, we're talking about something that has been living in the graveyard at the film club, and we're gonna see if we can make this one, come alive.
Yes. So we are going to be doing Suspiria, but the remake.
The remake.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I thought you haven't seen it.
I've never seen the remake because I haven't seen it. I've seen the original a bunch of times.
Alex and Marlo's seen it.
Correct.
That's right.
But I saw the original. Love the original. We tried to do it on the podcast. Could not get that episode to work.
Dean just couldn't.
Yeah.
I was swinging, and he was just like, no. He's like, it's dead. It's done.
It's a lot of vibes in that movie, and it's kind of weird and hard to talk about.
The first Suspiria is just... It's a vibes movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
It's very atmospheric
it's something
and cool.
You can't talk about unless you have visuals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be doing the
17
the 2017 remake, and we'll have a little compare and contrast and a little fun time on that one. And we'll have Dylan on to tell us the truth of why Zack Snyder should have directed the remake. But if you wanted to listen to that...
if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, where we're finally caught up.
Yes, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube, because the film club was taken. There you can find the slideshow versions and the video versions of this podcast that we post. And you can like, comment, subscribe there. And you can also follow our social media at...
The Film Club Podcast on Instagram, where we post upcoming episodes, guests, random adventures we go on.
And Brandon, would you like to plug anything? I hear you have a movie coming out soon.
Oh, God. Jeez. I had a movie coming out soon last time I was here.
Yeah,
Same movie. Thomas, where is it? Thomas. A month and a half ago, you said midnight was closer than I thought. Anyway, that should be out soon. And then you can find me on Instagram at Brandon Wally BV.
And with that,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
Bazookas.
Have a good week, everybody.